today we're going to be setting up this 10-gallon tank for a baby crested gecko. In a semi-naturalistic setup, it is going to have fake plants, but a naturalistic forest floor, and BioActive will come a little bit later down the road. Right now, I just want to make sure that I'm providing a couple of things. Good humidity for our crested gecko so he's able to shed. I want to make sure that he has enough foliage and enough hiding spaces for him to feel comfortable. I also want to make sure that he has a decent ledge for food and water dishes. Crested geckos really benefit from having elevated food and water dishes. Let's get right into things because we got a little tiny task on our hands for today's episode. So the first thing that we're gonna wanna do is add our substrate layer. I've already pre-mixed up some cocoa fibers, some aspen bedding, and some moss, as well as some organic topsoil into this 5-gallon bucket so you guys don't have to sit through another 3-minute section of my video watching me mix up a bunch of dirt. We'll add that in and then get right into the decorations of things. So for my 10-gallon cages, I keep them down here on this bottom shelf, turned sideways, kind of like this. So the front display of the cage is usually right here. So when setting up this cage, I'm gonna keep in mind that I want the smaller side of the cage as my front viewing panel, and I'll try and keep you guys updated with that while I'm decorating this as well. So first off, we're gonna slope back a lot of this dirt to the back part of the cage, so that it kind of creates a nice depth for our cage. In such a small 10-gallon, it'll actually make things look a lot better. The next thing that I want to do is provide a hiding space for my crested gecko. And for that, I'm going to be using this cork round right here. It's a nice size cork round, and the gecko will love being able to hide inside of this. By the way, I'll link everything down in the description below to an Amazon link where you can buy almost everything that I'm using in this cage, and if you can't buy it, I'll make sure to mention that down in the comments below. And so we're gonna set this cork bark piece right here in the back. Kind of dig it down into the soil a little bit, which will provide a good humidity for the crested gecko when he's in this hide. Just like so. We are then gonna take a little bit of this moss and stuff the bottom of the hide with this, so that way when he's in shed, we can spritz down this moss and it'll raise the humidity inside of that hide drastically and help him shed nice and easy. We're now gonna wanna add a couple of avenues for the crested gecko to be able to get around his cage, and I'm talking about hardscape. So we're gonna add this piece of wood that I have, and we're gonna add that so it comes out from the back and into the front of the cage where I plan on having his feeding station. Turns out we had to move the hide just a little bit because the stick is so big. Now I'm gonna add this fake rock decoration underneath of that branch we just added to kind of help give it a little bit of rigidity and some firmness so we don't have to worry about it crashing down on our young leopard gecko that's gonna be inhabiting this enclosure. I'm gonna now take some of this spare branches that I had from the Chameleon enclosure that I didn't end up using, break it up a little bit to kind of give a few more options for our young crested gecko to be able to climb around on. So as you can see, this will be where the front viewing panel is. And it's gonna be where the crested gecko can still hide here in the cork bark, and he'll feel safe enough in there, but we'll still be able to see and monitor that he's in there. We've got the rock decor that's holding up this branch that travels to the front, and a few smaller branches as well to give him some options on where he wants to climb. After you have the hardscape all figured out, then you can start adding some of the plants. Like I said, I do plan on making this a bioactive enclosure at some point, but I do want to make sure that the gecko is growing up and that I don't have to worry about trimming back plants or making sure plants are staying alive or my isopod culture is blooming. I just want to be able to focus in on the gecko for the first couple of months that I have him. And so for that, we're going to be adding a couple of fake plants in here. First of all, I have 2 fake flowers and they have a nice long stem to them. And that'll kind of help give him a couple more climbing options as well as spruce the cage up just a little bit from looking so rocky and woody as it is right now. I've then got just one of these simple Exoterra suction cup type plants, and we're probably gonna put that over this long climbing stick that's in here already. And then I've got one of these nice long, like 3-foot vines that I used in the Chameleon enclosure. The great part about these vines is they split into 2 different pieces. As you can see, there's a part with the green, and there's a part here that's kind of just made out of some raffia or some sort of fibrous like leaf type stuff. So we're gonna split these up and use one as a decorative vine, but one as leaf cover for our gecko. And this is how we're looking after the hardscape and after the plants have been added. You can see that there's a nice dense layer of leaves and fake flowers here on the top of the cage that lead down into his hiding spot. It also leads to a back area over here that's secluded from the front view of the cage. The other 2 sides and back are lined with either 2 cages or a back wall. You can see that right there is the spot that this cage goes. And then here in the front is a little bit more open, and this is where I plan on having his feeding ledge. And that'll allow me to monitor him while he's eating and be able to easily get in there and change his food and his water every day. Here's the feeding ledge that I made. Just made it out of some great stuff foam, siliconed it up, covered it in some eco earth, put in the pots so that way it has places for the food dishes to go, and inserted some plants. I siliconed it to the wall, but kind of messed up a little bit right here, so I'll have to take a razor scraper to that and get it off. But the silicone is fully cured. As you can see, I do have one of the babies in here right now, and he's resting on this ledge. And I ended up getting a second one from the same breeder, and he's up here on that ledge right now. I'm gonna be giving that one to one of my buddies who's been wanting a crested gecko for a while though, so this will just be a 1 gecko setup here after the next couple of days. As you can see, it's heavily planted, super dense, a nice forest floor bedding going on with some peat moss, some eco earth, a little bit of sphagnum moss, and a little bit of aspen. Yeah, it's just a really nice setup for some young crested geckos. As the one that I keep gets bigger, I will have to upgrade to something that's a little bit more vertical, but right now this is all the verticality that something this size would need. I'm shooting this outro a whole day later because the past couple of days have just been insane for me between getting the new geckos, and I started an internship at a vet clinic today, an exotic vet clinic at that. So it's been pretty hectic, but here's the outro. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned something about setting up some crested geckos. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I love answering your guys' questions and responding to the feedback that you give me. If you liked the video, please like it because you know I need those kind of things. And hey, hit the subscribe button while you're here because I know you'll like the rest of the videos if you liked this one. Anyways, I'll see you guys then.